I'm upside down. Hi. I'm going to look like a ragamuffin today. Hold on. Because, let me see if I can get this to work. Because, there I am. I had an allergic reaction last week to something, and my eyes have been, like, swelling, so no one's here yet anyway. I don't know why I'm even talking. So I was trying to start early, and I ran into some glitches again with YouTube, but I discovered, while I was fiddling, I discovered a place where I can actually have a link to my live stream. So if that actually works, I'll be able to give people a link to my live stream ahead of time. So I'm excited about that. That'll be cool. Someone's here. It's probably Dolly. Shout out to Sam. I know he's not here, but he told me he was going to catch it later. So shout out to Sam. Hello, Dolly, if that's you. I am going to start out. I'm starting out with different things if I have an idea. I built a little funny looking jig years ago, and I decided to pull it back out. So I'm going to start with this. And I'm going to set it on my fall board here. And what I've done, let's see if this works. I just decided to do this morning. And I need a better camera. But that's all right. Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. There we go. Meow. Ta-da! My light is very weak. Let me turn the light higher. Whoops. There we go. Sort of, kind of. So you may or may not be able to see black dots on here. This is a last minute. I literally put this back together 10 minutes ago, so I don't know. But anyway, so this is basically representing a piano wire. And I'm going to make a video about this, and then I'm not going to talk about lever technique or stability anymore in a live stream because everyone asks me about this. So I'm going to make my definitive video and put it out there. And again, caveat, I am not claiming to be an expert on this. Heidi, I'll be dipping in and out. Doug from Dallas. Hello, Doug from Dallas. Hi, Dolly. Thanks for joining. I'm going to talk about this real quick. This won't take too long. But my glue is still drying. See, I put this together this morning. Although the idea is years old. And I've got 3 different addable bridges to create or remove friction. And I've got ideas about that. And I have ideas about which material I can use for the piano wire. Right now this is fishing line. And I've used rubber bands as well. I think the fishing line works a little better, but it doesn't show it as easily. So I'll put this back together later with a rubber band, and I'll probably make a video eventually. But anyway, here's what I'm attempting to show. And this is not reality. This is just demonstrating how I think about it, which might be wrong. But everybody keeps asking me. So, and if someone wants to correct me, that's fine. I've had people correct me on Facebook saying, no, that's wrong. And that's fine. But if you're not going to show me a better way, I can't change. So you have to show me. Otherwise, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Hi, Maggie. I nearly missed this, but for the notification. Hi! Olaburi. Oh, hi, Olaburi. Hello. I just said this earlier. I'm going to say it one more time. It looks like I can create a link for a live stream before I go live. I'm going to look into that. If I can, that's going to solve a huge problem of people trying to find me. So I'm excited about that. We'll find out. But anyway, so once I finish this, I'll take questions. Excuse me. So this is the piano wire. This is obviously the tuning lever. I know you can't see it very well, but you're going to have to trust me on this one. Can I get it? You can kind of see the dots. Yeah, you can kind of see the dots. So my goal right now, let me get my other, I haven't tried this yet. This is a brand new idea. Never tried it. So you all are my test group. There we go. The glue's still drying. Let's see what happens if I do this. I don't know. So my idea, let's see if it works. If it doesn't, no biggie. The classic way of teaching lever technique is to go over pull and then reduce it. These are moving to where you want it. Well, if they're moving, it's not going to work. Okay? And then if I do a hard blow with that, it moves. So there's not enough friction here. I don't like it this way. I'm going to do it this way. Oh, that's coming up to it. So I'm going to go above. I'm going to come down to about there. And then bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. It moves a little bit that way. No, it's not moving much. But anyway, but I can still explain my thinking. If you do a test blow, pulling it up, pulling it down, there's enough friction. What you want is on a high friction piano, you can get equal tension on both sides and it's probably going to stay. The lower the friction to a point, there's a mid-range of mid-friction where you want a little more tension on the non-speaking length than the speaking length, because then on a hard blow, you want the hard blow, the tension's equal. You want the tension to be equal on a hard blow, so it doesn't pull flat, which it just did. So my thinking, and now if the friction's like 0, then you're back to wanting equal tension again, and it still probably won't hold. Mark, hi Mark! Hi, good to see you. Well, see you. So, let me finish this up here. So, if I flex the pin, obviously this is not real, but if I flex the pin and get it where I want, if I overdo this, it's going to go sharp. So you can't overflex it, because now I have a little more tension here than here. So on a hard blow, it doesn't go flat. Okay, so that's my theory. Obviously the friction here is not high enough. So I'm gonna play around with this and put something on here. I don't know. I'm gonna play with it because I want to demonstrate how I think about it. So I'm gonna loosen this and fiddle with it and see what happens. But anyway, so this is the visual I'll be using in an upcoming video. I don't know what string I'm going to use yet. But on high friction, it doesn't matter as much because it's just going to stick there. Low friction, you want kind of equal tension. But if I turn it up, if I go above pitch and bring it down, if there's friction here, I'm going to have less tension on the non-speaking length than the speaking length. That's just a fact. Someone prove me wrong. If you prove me wrong, fine, do it. So if I'm lowering it to pitch, and then I have a hard blow, it's going to go flat. It's just going to go flat. Now if I pull up to pitch, the problem here, and it just did it. Oh boy, it's going to do it. So you pull up to pitch, and you let go. What happens? It goes back. There's a certain amount of flexibility in there's pin twist. And I believe there's a little bit of flexibility in the wood grabbing it, but I might be wrong. It's just how I picture it. It's a model. It's not real. It's a model. So if I pull it up to pitch and let go, it goes flat. Now I end up with less tension here as well, and it went flat. So if I flatten it, take the slack off, going up or down, doesn't matter, really. And I get it to hold, there's not enough friction. With the flexion, now when I let go, it flexes back, and I have more tension on the non-speaking length. A hard blow, it stays on pitch. Now, let's say I overdo it, okay? Let's say I overdo it, and then I have a hard blow. It could go sharp. It really could. You could break the tension here. But anyway, that's my idea. I put that on video. I'm going to make it better later and make a formal video, and then I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Because I am not an expert on this. I have my ideas, and I don't mind sharing my ideas. But I'm happy to receive correction if someone wants to, say, do it this way. But they got to show me it works. So far, nobody has. So anyway, so, come on, camera. Come on, camera. You can do it. You can do it. Maybe. Hi. I need a better camera system. It works, though. This is very informal. This is not... Oh, my other lights are off. No wonder. I don't know if I want them on. I look terrible. There we go. I have more light now. So, I got some thumbs up. Oh, thank you. There's a lot of people that say I'm wrong. So, take it with a grain of salt. What I tell everybody else, because this is the best I can do, is listen to everybody's ideas and find out what works for you, because I have found... No two people... Our PTG chapter got together once, and we all shared hammer technique. There were not two that were the same. They were not. You know, you find out what works for you and you make it work. There are people who say flexing the pin damages the pin block. Fine. You know, I'm not going to argue with that. It's a matter of how much. But I need a stable tuning. And Dan Levitan created his C lever to be able to, you know, tune a piano without flexing the pin, and he could not get a stable tuning unless he flexed the pin. He couldn't do it. And I can't do it either. So unless somebody shows me a better way, I'm sticking with him and several other people who flex the pin, you know. And the last caveat I will add is, and on this piano I can really do this, if you're going to flex the pin, if you have a piano with high tension, high friction, okay, you can, I'm going to move this so it's in the camera. This piano has higher friction, and I found this higher pin, not higher friction, I am so sorry, tighter pins. If you have tight pins, these pins are just barely tight enough to do this. You can put your lever 90 degrees, okay, because if you're here, all you're doing, when you have your hammer in line with the strings, all you're doing is making the pin flex happen perpendicular to the string, so it's not going to affect your tuning. That's why they do this. You cannot not flex the pin unless you have a C lever. People have tried to make different levers. You're going to flex the pin, period, because it doesn't matter how all this is configured. What matters is the tip of the pin and a line to the end of the hammer. That's all that matters. If you can't, or actually the string, where the string comes off the pin to the end of the hammer, there's a line. If you can't make that line 0, the pin will flex. So that's why the shorter the tip, the less flex. The longer the tip, the more flex. Okay. So if you turn the lever this way, you're going to have a natural flex without trying to flex at all. Someone wrote, I'll read it in a second. The pin is going to flex naturally this way. You don't have to do anything. You just push it flat. It's going to flex the pin. In fact, you can almost see it. It's going to flex the pin naturally. I just put whatever unison that was out of tune. It's going to flex the pin naturally. And as you lower it, it flexes the pin. It reduces the tension here. When you let go, it pulls back a little bit. It increases the tension here. If the pins are tight enough, that's all the flex you need. I'm not talking about cranking this thing down, you know, to the point where you're going to bend the actual pin, which is difficult. I'm talking, you know, that might seem like a lot. That's anyway. That's that. Okay. Now, Alu Bori. In my opinion, certain things... Oh, I remember who Alu Bori is. I'm so sorry. In my opinion, certain things are necessary to stay relevant in this trade. Get trained and keep learning. Readying and... Wait, where'd it go? Readying and studying is key for development. That's a really good point. You know, none of us know everything. None of us do. And I'm going to be sideways. That's just how it's going to be. So you just do the best you can. You learn, you take classes, you get training. Even people who've been to, like, North Bennett Street School and things like that, they can still get tons of training. There's always more to learn. If you don't get formal training, it's harder. Ask me. I started out without as much formal training. Eventually, I got more formal training. And I learned some things the hard way. Fortunately, I'm mechanically inclined, so a lot of things went well, you know, but there were some scary moments where I was like, I think I can't do that, you know. And it's good to know your limits. It's hard to know your limits, really hard. It's hard for me now to know my limits, you know, because there's some things I want to try. So anywho, next, unfortunately, many technicians do not believe in any idea or ideology that did not emanate from them. We encounter them almost every day, and it's sad. Yeah. Yeah. So, number one, if you discover something on your own, which I've done a lot, number one, if you discover something on your own, it doesn't mean you're the only one who knows it. That's number one. It just means you found out the hard way. Or an easy way, or whatever, but you figured it out on your own. Great. It doesn't mean that other people don't already know that same thing. And number two, there's always a ton we don't know. And mind you, I'm as guilty as anyone else. So there's sometimes, I'm dead certain I'm right on something, and I will be stubborn. And I have been proven wrong. And then, you eat crow and you say, my bad. Wow. Thank you for enlightening me because I was being dumb. It's just how it is. It's human. We're human. Forgive yourself. I'm forgiving me. So if, you have to be able to forgive yourself and move on. If there are people in the world who won't forgive me, I can't fix that. I can apologize and move on. That's it. That's the best I can do. And try not to do it again. Terminal waltz. Hi, terminal waltz. What's the hardest lesson you learned the hard way? Oh, that's a good question. I probably am equal with about 2 lessons. The first one that comes to mind because it's the most memorable is I really believed, after I had a lot of training, I really believed, terminal waltz, hi, you're welcome, that I could make some significant improvements on a particular piano regarding regulation, action alignment, voicing, and all this kind of stuff. Mostly regulation. And I had so much training, and it wasn't working. And I had to call my mentor. And I had to schedule that appointment for him to come fix what I potentially made worse. I learned the hard way that sometimes you don't know your limits. I really thought I could do it. I really did. And the customer was wonderful. They were so gracious. And my mentor came and made it much better. And he was very good to me. He said, this isn't actually that bad. You're working with a piano that's 60 years old or something ridiculous like that. It was 50 or 60 years old. And it had been played heavily. So the parts were worn out. Since then, I've learned how much worn out parts can affect how you try to regulate and align things, because some things just are worn out. Like the knuckles could be really flat. The hammers have been shaped so many times, their blow distance is greater. Parts are warped. Unless you're going to start replacing parts on an ancient piano, there's only so much you could do. And I've gotten pretty good now at working on the old pianos, but on new pianos, I still am hesitant. That's a great learning lesson, though. It was! I won't forget it. Very important to be humble. Bad Thayer knuckles? I chased that forever. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The knuckles were, really flat. What? I should have bolstered them. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And I know that's true now. And it's my personality to be a little stubborn. So sometimes I will be. And that's just how it's going to be. And then I'll have to learn the hard way again. Those built-in horrible knuckles. Oh! I know what you're talking about! Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of those. But on those, the pianos are so old, the expectations are going to be low. And frankly, I don't promise anything. I can make something better. In fact, I have one coming up. I promised them I could make it better, and I can. Will it be good? No. But right now, it's almost unplayable. I can make it playable. It's a really, really old piano that has not been taken care of, and it was donated to a church. Oh boy, I wish people wouldn't do that. And so the church is expected to use it, and they're like, Maggie, can you make this better? I'm like, I can make it better. It's never going to be good, unless you rebuild it, and I don't do rebuilding. I know a limit there. I referred them to other people. They want to keep the price down, so I'm going to make it better. Let's see. Yes, I forgot the other one that was if I think of the other learning experience, I will tell you, but there was another that was insane. Anyway, you learn the hard way. Yeah, Alubori, thank you, Terminal Waltz. Alubori, yes, exactly what I am saying. There are possibly different ways of doing the same thing. Oh gosh, yes. I believe that. Good analytical skills give a tuner access to a range of techniques and tactics. Yeah. If people talk about lever technique, I'm there. I want to learn more. And my lever technique has evolved over the years. And I've experimented with different things. And what was it? I did one time. I tuned a piano and I had to retune the whole thing. What happened? I don't remember. Anyway, my memory's starting to go. Piano Doctor 57. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Piano Doctor. How are you? Doug, is it Kanabi, like the piano? I'm looking for any advice on using TuneLab, pitfalls, etc. Excuse me. I've decided that this will be the last video I ever talk about lever technique. No one's allowed to ask me any questions about lever technique anymore. I'm not looking at the camera. I'm sorry. My computer screen is off to the side. I'm not allowed to, you're not allowed to ask me about lever technique anymore. And then the other thing is ETDs. There's a video where I talked about ETDs. I'm not really interested in discussing ETDs anymore because this is an aural tuning channel, but I'll happily talk with you about what I know. I know about a few ETDs, and you can email me. And I have a new email. I'll put it in the chat. Piano Doctor 57, Peter. Oh, that's Peter. Hi, Peter. I get you mixed up with someone else, but hi, Peter. Okay, now I know which one is which. There's 2 piano doctors. Actually, I think there's 3. No, I thought of another one, but there's 4. Maggie at pianotechmaggie.com. Whoops. There. That is my new email address. If you email me, I'll give you my thoughts. You know. Let's see. Whereas a lack of analytical skills tends to limit a tuner to one style of tuning. Dan Levitan. There you go. I like Dan. Dan Levitan. He's a really cool guy. Terminal waltz, the tyranny of free things. Free lessons. Let's learn this the free way. I might start doing that the hard way. Education is expensive. Actually, it's not a free way, because if you mess up, it costs you. Education is expensive because then you got to fix it. You know, and I don't know a single tuner who hasn't been through that. They might not admit it, but everyone I know will admit it, that, you know, we've all learned things the hard way. I still haven't thought the other one. I know there's another one, but that's what came to mind. Anyway, Mark Steger, Maggie, can you talk about tuning major thirds and consecutive thirds? I can do that. John Fesnew, hi Maggie, what is your opinion regarding impact hammers, including the Cyber hammer for grands? Are they worth it? I will answer that question. Terminal waltz, I mean donated pianos specifically. Oh yeah, donated pianos. Oh my god, it's insane. Okay, I don't know a lot about impact levers. I do own one. I have used it for pitch raises. This is the kind of thing where everyone's different. You know, there are some of us who can tune with both right and left hands. I can do that. And I tuned the treble of a grand piano the other day with my left hand for the first time successfully. It's usually a fail. So I think tuning verticals left-handed so much has started to improve my left-hand feel. So now I can tune grands left-handed, which is really good because I can't tune them right-handed at all. Unless I stand up and then my neck hurts. So, excuse me. I really can't advise you on impact levers. Everyone's different. Some people can use them extremely well. Some people can't. I don't understand how you get a stable tuning with them. Obviously, people can. I just have no idea how that works. Except the jerky, this is my thinking, I don't know. The jerky motion might make the string jump and get past friction points a little more precisely, and so you end up with a potentially more stable tuning. I don't know. So I'm afraid I can't help you with they're worth it to some people. It would not be worth it to me, I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure I wouldn't be able to tune well with them. But everyone's different. If I had to learn, I probably could. If I had no choice. Thirds, terminal waltz. I assume the bulk of your work is tuning. Do you do a lot of regulation, or do you refer that stuff out? Oh, okay, that's a good question. Yeah, it took me a second. So I do a lot of regulation now. I refer some of it out, less and less, but that might actually be changing. I might be referring more and more again because someone nearby they got a regulation station and they're going to be doing a lot of it. So I might be sending him a lot of work. The bulk of my work is no longer tuning. It used to be. But my business is threefold, and the other 2 parts of my business have gotten busier. So it's literally a third of my time, you know. I got to get back to the thirds. Danny. Hi, Danny. Brief discussion on alternative tunings. Ever use them? How difficult is it learning a new one once you've mastered equal temperament? What are the differences? If you've mastered equal temperament, alternative tunings, non-equal temperaments are easy because there's more wiggle room. It's easy. It's easy. You know, once you've gotten the hang of it. Okay, back to thirds. Thirds. Let me get my temperament strip back in here. I was doing something with it. Mirror, mirror, mirror. Mirror, mirror, mirror. Oh, come on. Come on, camera, you can do it. I should count how long my camera gives me trouble. See how much time. I need a better camera. If anyone has a recommendation for a camera, let me know. Because I'm trying to get... I need a better camera. This one's actually pretty cheap. Okay, thirds. So let's see. We talked about... I think you mentioned contiguous and chromatic thirds. Hold on 1 second. Mackenzie Miguel. Hi, Mackenzie. Hi. Hi, Maggie. I just passed the written exam. Yay! And I'm studying for the technical and tuning. Do you notice any common gaps in student knowledge when they attempt these exams? Yes. Do you have any advice? Yes. If I forget to come back to that, let me know. Contiguous thirds. Gosh, I'm going to assume you all know stuff you don't know. So let me think. Yes. Let me talk about chromatic thirds first. I'm going to go back and forth between the two. This, we say, is supposed to be 7 beats a second. That's pretty close. This piano's not in tune, by the way. Let's see. That's a little too slow. These are not horrendous. This is just a hair too slow. Now, how do I know that? You get a feel for it when you do it a million times. They say this is 7 beats a second. It's actually technically not. It's 6.89 or something ridiculous like that. These are not 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, but they are. For our purposes, you know, we're getting them close, and you refine by, you know, comparing it to other intervals and making sure they're close together. So they do need to progress, but the rate at which they progress is very, very tiny. You have to remember that. So from F3 to D4, you can kind of count on it being close to a half a beat a second difference. So 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5. And then it starts to get a little fuzzy because this is 11. So if I go downward, 11, 10.5, 10, 9.5 is there, but we just said this was 9.5, you see? So they get a little close together here as you go up. It's not exactly a half beat a second, but we can use that in this range to get really, really close. And as you go down, it falls apart again, because this is 5. So 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. But this isn't 7. This is 7. So this is supposed to be 6.5. See? So these are approximate numbers. The main thing is to have a major third that you can really count on, maybe 2, and work the others in between. You're fitting everything. So if I set this to 7 and this to 5, I can work the ones in between to progress. And if they progress, I know I'm pretty close to correct. Let's see. What else can I talk about with major thirds? Minor thirds have to be faster. Any minor third attached to a major third has to be faster, and they're easier to hear as you go down. So let's say I'm here, and I go here. So da, 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 that's where that one is right now. Wait, that's about right. And then minor third. That's faster, but let's say I went to this minor third and it was the same speed or even a little slower. Holy mackerel, something's wrong. Okay? Now, I don't know what's wrong, but I know something's wrong. It could be my C, but if this beat rate is right, then the C is then the E would also have to be off. The whole thing could be a mess. That's the problem, you never know. So if this is slower, I'm going to check this major third again. You know? If this seems right, I'm going to check my G. So just by doing this, I've questioned my G, you know, and I'll go back and check. And you just keep going backwards like that, and you follow the trail. There's a trail of wrong beat rates that you can follow to backtrack. Never assume it's the note you're tuning. always assume it, well, you, of course, check the note you're tuning first. But if it won't work, also don't assume it's just one note back. Well, I must have tuned the previous note wrong. Well, no, that one was tuned to a note, and that one was tuned to a note. You can go back until you get back to your first note. So never assume it's just one note either. It's probably more than one. It's probably 2 or 3 notes that are off that have a combined effect. And so you have to go back and really check everything. So there's that. Now, contiguous thirds. For every 4 beats of a lower contiguous third, the upper one should beat 5. That's not in cement, but it's an approximate rule. You know, just like the half a beat a second change, this is like that. It's fuzzy. Because depending on your octave size, they can vary a little. So if I have 7, that's almost too fast. It's not, I don't think so. So I'm going to listen to this, and I'm just going to feel a pulse for every 4 beats. So. Da 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 da. Wait, I'm too slow. There we go. Okay, so I've got my pulse. That means this one has to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Someone has sayings they use. What's my saying for 5? I forgot. I always forget. That's about right. So now I'm going to do that with the next major third. I'll go down one too. So 4 beats though. I got to get 4 beats. That's almost 6, but it's 5. 5 to 6 there. So let me go down. It'll be easier. So I'm going to try to go backwards. I've never done that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do 5. So now 4. It's just a hair slow. But that's really good. That's closer than I thought when I actually snapped it. 4 beats here. It's a little slow. Yeah, there's 6. So right now I have 4 to 6. And it should be 4 to 5. So I'd have to lower that note. Assuming this is correct. Or slow this down. You know, it's one or the other. Contiguous thirds. If I move F is usually my anchor note, so I wouldn't move it. But if I move F, let me do it. Am I on F? No, let's see. So here, if I raise F, I'm going to slow this down, but I'm also going to speed this up at the same time. Wah! So now they're close to equal beating. So I'm going to lower F again. Let's see. That's closer to the right ratio, and I move the middle note only. But if that's my anchor note, I've just destroyed everything I've just done. So, the last thing I'll say about contiguous thirds is that if you get slow, medium, fast, or slow, medium, fast, the middle one is usually right, they say. That has not been my experience. I'm just not good at judging middle. So anyway, I'll mention that though. If you get these equal beating with the C sharps at a 6 to 3 octave and make these equal beating, F to A is probably like spot on. So that's a thought too. Let's see. I guess that's all I can say right now, unless you have a specific question about them. Kenzie Miguel, hi Maggie. Oh yes. Exams. Terminal welts. This is all specific to setting the temperament. No. I think. Let me go through that. So this is no, this applies. Wait a minute. That's a good question. I think this applies in the mid-range because as you go down, your major thirds are going to get closer together. So this ratio technically should be there. Well, if they get slower, I have to think about that. I don't know. It's not just the temperament, though. It's at least the mid-range. It's at least C3 to C5. I feel like it should apply outside of that range, but I am not sure, because inharmonicity can really throw a wrench in things like that. I will have to find out. I don't know. Okay. Any common gaps in student knowledge when they attempt these exams? Yes. Most people attempt both exams before they're ready. Big time. With the tech exam, I don't know if I have any specific advice. If you can get an action model, get an action model. Take it completely apart and put it back together several times. Play with it. Add punchings, take away punchings. Look at symptoms that you create in a controlled environment. So, like with the balance pin, you know, take out the felt punching, see what happens. Put in 2 felt punchings, see what happens. Same thing with the front rail pin. Mess up with the calf stand. Do one thing at a time. Mess up one thing and see what it does, and then put it back. Mess up a different thing, see what it does, put it back. And then start multiplying that by 2. Mess up 2 things, see what it does, put them back, and just keep doing that. Then take it apart, put it back together 100 times, and mess it up really bad first. Take the whole thing back apart, put it back together, fix it. That's my advice with action models. With repair, just practice 100 times. With tuning, everyone thinks, not everyone, I'm sorry I said that. Too many people think that they can just go up a 5th, down a, what I just do here? Oh, my bad. Ha, that was funny. They can go up a 5th, down a 4th, or I've had people do it with contiguous thirds. They feel like they can set contiguous thirds and then tune everything off of that, off their contiguous thirds, and they think it'll just fall into place, and they don't learn how to troubleshoot. So my opinion is learn how to tune well. Learn how to tune well to begin with. Get a mentor, get a teacher. Unfortunately, a lot of teachers teach this way, and it's really frustrating for me. But I've had students, not my students, but I've had examinees come in and really, high confidence, not knowing what they're doing, and they just set a rough temperament without any checks as they go, and then they try to fix it at the end, and they end up with a mess. Don't set a temperament without trying to fix it as you go. That's my advice. That's my advice. And when you do the mid-range and tune out to the bass and the treble, second piece of advice, don't tune out with octaves. Please don't do that. Any mistakes you have in the middle are going to transfer out. Plus, tuning by octaves alone doesn't make it right. Tune with 5th, 4th, fast beating intervals. Octaves are there, fine, but they're not the primo interval. If I'm tuning out from my temperament, I'm tuning the 5th, the 4th, the major thirds. If I'm going down, I'm also tuning minor thirds. I'm tuning progressing 6. I'm checking everything as I go down, but I've learned to do that really fast. If it takes too long, practice more, because if you're taking too long to tune, obviously you can't take the exam. It's timed. Practice enough to where you can book through this stuff. I mean, that's what I do. 5th, 4th, major third, minor third. 6 should be a little slower. Progressing 6th. Move on. I don't even check my octave on the... I didn't check my octaves on the exam. They were good. If your temperament's good, 5th, 4th, 6th, everything, they'll line up. Check the octave last. If your octave is wrong, then you've messed up somewhere. If you tune just with octaves, you don't find your mess up. So, that's my advice, I guess. Hello, Cuba. Wahoo! Excellent. Thank you. Hello, Cuba. Video. Oh, hi. Vians. Master Pevaga. I don't know how to say your name. Hi. Terminal Waltz. What helped you ready yourself for the exams more than anything? Repetition. I get very little stringing experience, for instance. Oh, but tons of regulation experience. Oh, that's so interesting. So, for my exam, I practiced all the repair stuff. Like, this is not oral tuning. Okay, I don't care. I practiced all the repair stuff, like over the top, repetition, except string splicing. I didn't even practice string splicing because I did so much in field by the time I took my exam that it was like, I ran through it once just to make sure I could do it. I literally did all the stringing stuff in half the time that was allowed. 50% of the time is all I needed because I had so much experience with that. Everything else, I pushed the time limits. But I practiced everything, repetition, practice with the timer until you can do it minimum of 10 times in a row perfectly with the timer. If you can't do it 10 times in a row consecutively with the timer perfectly, you haven't practiced enough. That's my go-to. Mark, one advice I was given for tech exam, you need to provide the wire, use narrow wire like 13. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so for me that wouldn't have worked. I like a middle grade. Sometimes the tinier wire is actually harder to make it go where you want it, depending on your experience. If you practice with it, fine. And for some people, that might definitely be the way to go. So you should practice with different gauges of wire, find what works best for you, and use that. If the lighter gauges work best for you, do that, for sure. 13 isn't that light, though. Let me think. 14. What did I use? I used a heavier gauge than 13. It might have been up to 18, but I had done so much of it with heavy wire that was my comfort zone. It just depends on what you do. Mark, it's easier to work with, but there's more bounce back. So, or no. It's easier to work with for some people. It's not necessarily for everybody. So just try it. 13, you use lighter wire. If it works for you, do it. Whatever works. Terminal Walt Smart, thank you. Mackenzie Miguel, thank you for all the advice. You're welcome. I wish I could help more. Mark Steger, Maggie, do you have... Wait. You have referred to the importance of tips. Do you change tips for the tuning? For the exam or for tuning in general? I don't change tips very often. This happens to be a Rayburn tip. Oops, there it is. That I have on this lever. My favorite... This is very good. My favorites right now are Toffians. Toffian and Rayburn are both very, very, very good. And then Jan. A lot of people rave about Watanabes, but I don't get it. If I don't have it in the house. I could show you. If I showed you... I'm going to hold my camera with my lever for a second. Well, maybe I won't. Yeah, well. Okay, so... Let's see here. I'll just put it back on that one. Okay, so... That's how much play I have on the Rayburn. It's about the same on the Jan. It's about the same on the Toffian. They're about the same play. Okay? On the Watanabe, on this pin, it would be way more. And I don't like play. So it's either Jan, Rayburn, Toffian. Toffian's my favorite because of the price point. I don't see why I should pay more for something that's the same. Unless unless it's from... Never mind. I won't go there. I'm trying to think of something. I like a tight fit. Do I change them often? No. They last a really long time. So I don't change them very often. In fact, I'll bring my camera up here. Oopity. Huh. Okay. Oh, I have 10 people. Thank you. Hi. Okay, let's see. So, I don't change it often. I just buy a really good tip to begin with. I'll change it eventually, but it usually takes a while. One time I gave an old Toffian to a friend because it was still kind of good, and he needed a new tip, and I had bought my next tip for when I wanted it, so I just gave him my old one, and he liked it. Let's see. Importance of tips. Do you change tips for the tuning? I hope that answered the question. Mark Steger, all my levers had number 2 tips. Well, yeah, number 2. These are all number 2. I keep number 1 and number 3 in my kit. I use my number 1s rarely, almost never. The number 3s I have used on pianos that had new pins put in that were bigger. I've only had once where there was a pin that was too big for the number 3 tip, and I was like, "Are you serious? Really? What did I do?" I think the tip fit on the tip, and I just tuned it that way. I just tried to bang it and make it stable. Because I didn't have a number 4. Any special or unusual tools in your kit? my key weight. I have a key weight. So this is my key weight. Meow. Hold on. So what I can do with my key. Come on. Come on. Meh. Oh my god, really? I need a better camera. I wish I could switch between cameras on Zoom. It looks like I might be able to. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to keep working on it. So if I'm tuning, let's say I want this fifth pure at the first coincident partial for whatever reason, and my tuning, I'm on C. Okay. Hand is on lever. And I can tune, and I usually just use my left hand. You know, it's harder on the black keys. It's easier on the white keys, but still, you know. So my weight. I'm trying to think of anything else I've made. I make tools as I need them. As I need them, I just make them as I need them. Let's see, any special. If I think of any others, I'll pop them up there. That's what comes to mind first. My kit's in my car. Did I bring it in? No. Can't think of anything else yet. Danny. I've seen people ask for advice about the last octave online. Yeah, you know what? It's really hard. I was just taught a new check. Terminals. Clever. I love a bespoke. A bespoke? I love a bespoke. Bespoke? What's a bespoke? I love a bespoke. I don't know. Top octave. Okay. Top octave. The octave everyone dreads. If I can get my camera. Oh my god, I'm going to lose my mind. Get up there. There we go. I can do this. Okay, so now this is, let me give a caveat here. What I'm about to show you is more for the second to top octave, but it's a new check, so I'm going to show you. So, in fact, it was Riley Stairs from Canada. Riley showed me this. And I knew it. I just never used it up here. I'm like, oh my god, you can hear it. It's great. So, a 12th. If you're looking to not, make your fifths and 12ths wide, you can check a 12th by, let's see here. Where's the 12th? Me? Okay. So the check note for the second coincident partial of the 12th is just like the second coincident partial for a fifth, and then it's the lower minor third. Okay? I use that in the bass. But you can do the first up here. So you take that down an octave. You can hear it. So let's go up a little higher. Let's see how high I can hear this. I can hear it. Let's go a little higher. It's getting higher. Ooh! That's noisy. Maybe I can hear it. Let's go higher. Kind of hear it. So there's that. Let's see. Let's go here. Oh. I might be able to hear it. I never know if I'm fooling myself. The aural illusion is real. So first, I tune just quiet octaves because then I know I'm close. If you want a 2-to-1 octave, which you usually don't, but you could do this. So if you go up here, I might have to move my whole. Do I have a mute? I do. I have a mute. Hold on. You can see my hammer dulcimer. Okay. So if I'm up at the top, I'm on B right now. And this piano's not in tune. Where's B? Here's B. You can take a mute and find the spot. Hold on. Let me get it on the string. Where it rings out. that's the second partial, first overtone. It's easier to hear beats that way. Flat. So you can get really nice 2-to-1 octaves at the top. Now, is the note below correct? I don't know. But if you want a 2-to-1 octave, that's the way to do it. And if you want it wider, you can just you can use that as a check to make sure you're wide of a 2-to-1 octave. Then you've got the 12th check, and then I shared this before, but I'm going to do it again. So this also depends on lower notes being in tune, but of course the whole piano depends on that. So whatever. But if I'm on, let me go to B again. My C isn't muted. Not that it matters. This is not in tune, but an octave is wide, or it's supposed to be wide. If it's a 2-to-1, it might not be, but it might be narrow. But you do want it wider than a 2-to-1 up here, I'd say. So octave is supposed to be wide. Okay. A double octave is closer to pure at the first coincident partial and even second coincident partial. But at the first coincident partial, a triple octave is definitely, sorry I'm off the camera, is definitely narrow, but not by much. And if the inharmonicity is high enough, it could still be wide. No, it would be more narrow. The more inharmonicity you have, the more narrow this could be. So on a high-end piano, this probably won't work. But all of these should be quiet. Okay, the middle one is more of just a check to make sure you're, in the ballpark. So if the top octave is really, really quiet, but the triple octave is noisy, that means the upper note is possibly flat. Because if it's a little flat, the single octave will still sound good, but the triple octave is going to get noisy because it was narrow to begin with, so it's further away from pure, and then vice versa. And you can double check this with an octave and a fifth, with an octave and a 12th rather. So I have an octave and a 12th. I did this the other day, and Sam called me out for playing an octave and a fourth. I couldn't believe I had done that. If you catch me doing something like that, you get a prize, but I can't mail prizes out of the States anymore. It's too expensive, so I have to do a different type of prize. But anyway, octave is wide, 12th is narrow. So if the 12th is noisy, but the octave is quiet, then the upper note again is probably flat, and vice versa. If the 12th is really noisy but the octave is clean, the upper note is probably sharp. So there's those checks. And the 2-to-1 check I just showed you with actually putting a mute on the string. And I have been taught, and I think this is true, as my experience is that the reason I'm questioning this is I have a student this doesn't work with. If you look at a lot of aural tuners in the past, they will tune octaves like this, and they'll just kind of match the pitch, which is fine. But if you arpeggiate them, you're more likely to be sharp. If you play them together, you're more likely to be a little bit flatter. So I like to do both just to make sure they both sound good. So arpeggiate and then play them together. If it sounds flat when you do both, it's definitely flat. If it sounds really good when you arpeggiate, but maybe hinting at flat when you... I did it wrong again. If it sounds really good when you don't arpeggiate, but then hinting at flat when you do arpeggiate, then it's possibly correct. So autocorrect is a real pain in the ASP. Ha ha ha. Just a specifically made. Oh, specific tool. I love a specific tool. Oh, thank you. I got it now. Okay, so I hope that was a little helpful. I do like my camera lever, but it's limited. It's a really good one. Fifine, I'm giving them a shout out because Fifine brand microphones are fantastic, and they have a $30 microphone that's just amazing. In fact, that's what I'm using right now. I'm using my cheap one, my $35 microphone, and then they have a lever arm that's really good, but I need to find a way to have just a little more flexibility on the camera, and the camera's too cheap. Recommend cameras. Autocorrect. Okay. Did I not fully answer a question? Or does anyone have a new question? What time is it? I don't know. Oh, 8:53. Okay. So we talked a lot about not tuning in this thing. My eyes are still poofy. I had an allergic reaction and my eyes were like swollen, and it's taking days to go down. It's been like 5 days. But anyway, not that you needed to know that, but strangest instrument I've tuned. Well, that would be getting out of pianos. I have had customers ask me to tune their hammered dulcimer. I have had customers ask me to tune their cello. I have had customers. I only just learned of the cymbalom. Oh, yeah. That's really cool. It's like a cymbalom, for those who don't know, is like a hammered dulcimer with bells and whistles, and it even has a pedal with dampers and stuff like that. It's really cool. I have never tuned a cymbalom. I have tuned harpsichords. I have tuned people's guitars, banjos, all their home instruments. Strangest instrument I've ever tuned. I don't know. Wow, my memory is so bad. I mean, probably one of my own, a crwth. I've tuned a crwth. That is spelled CRWTH. Crwth. I've tuned a crwth. It's like an open-faced piano. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but this uses the hand hammers, like a hammer dulcimer, right? But yeah, it's like an open-faced piano. Yeah, it is. They're pretty cool. I think they have three strings per note, whereas a hammer dulcimer typically has 2 strings per note. But there's less uniformity in hammer dulcimers and cymbaloms, so you'll find more variations of them than in pianos. Pianos are pretty standardized. Most of them have 88 keys, yada yada. So let's see. Well, I'm going to think of a strange instrument I've tuned while somebody comes up with another question. Let's see. Strangest instrument I've tuned. I think I've got it. Yeah, the crwth. The crwth. It's weird because the strings come up over the bridge. They pass the fingerboard and they go through a hole, and the tuning pins are on the backside. And if you're thinking, that seems like a bad idea, you are correct. It is hard to tune. The friction is insane. It's dumb. But the advantage is that I'm assuming the advantage is that you have more down bearing on the upper termination point. But I feel like you could do that anyway. I don't know. Questions? There are no more questions? We're almost done. So I got 10 people here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Next month. Next month I might have a live audience. It's going to be fun because, hold on, let me get my calendar. Let me see. We are in April. The next live stream is April 30th, and it's during my first tuning camp. So, and let's see. That's even number, so it'll be in the evening. So it'll be at 7:30 p.m. And anyone at the tuning camp who wants to join me, I will be in a log cabin in the middle of the Boogie Woods. It's not actually in the that far in the boonies. It's not that far, but it's at the Appalachian South Folk Life Center. If you look up their website, it's real pretty there. There's some pictures. Terminal Waltz. Maggie, you're great. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I hope I can make an event sometime soon. Oh, the camps are so much fun. Danny, thank you. You're welcome. The camps are so much fun. The tech camp is probably the most fun. It's full. Oh my God, we have a full house. I'm almost hoping someone drops out. I have a short waiting list this year because I allowed more people in, and I'm hoping this isn't a bad idea. But we're going to find out. If I have to limit the number of people next year, which I suspect, I'm going to have to raise the price a little bit, but not a lot. And then the tuning camps, they're also fun. It's a different atmosphere because there's only 6 people in each camp. It has to be smaller because there's a lot of one-on-one. The tech camp, there is one-on-one available, but for the most part, it's self-instruction with videos and text, and the teachers are there to help clarify and make sure you're following the directions correctly, and if you have any odd little glitches that you need help with. Whereas the tuning camp, you do practice on your own, but there's a lot of one-on-one instruction, so I can only have 6 people at the tuning camps. So my time is up. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I like to keep the idea of teaching aural tuning alive, even though we didn't do a lot of aural tuning here. So yeah, next time I will be, hopefully have a good enough signal to do this. I will be at the Appalachian South Folklife Center, and we'll see. My tuners will probably be exhausted and want to go out by the campfire, so I might be by myself. We'll see. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming.